What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips where you already know we get it in, man. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I'm kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled, man. And thank you very much. So trip out. Let me make sure I'm all right, right? Trip out on this. So I was asked a question the other day in a live, and I felt I should, I gave an answer, but I felt I should elaborate on the answer. It's kind of a wild question, so you're going to get a wild answer, but you're going to get a truthful answer and as real as I know it to be, right? So a guy asked me, hey, Holmes, what happens, gun, if a super hardcore gangbanger, a gang member, man, a real stepper, a certified stepper, one that did high-powered time with Tory Lanez, actually is in prison and decides for some reason that he wants to go Diddy style, that he wants to be Meek Millish, that he wants to go Justin Bieberish, that he wants to go Wes Watsonish, right? That he decides that, hey, he enjoys hooping fucking pedazos. He enjoys hooping things and he just wants to become a part of the trans community. What happens? How do the homeboys treat him? Is he embraced? Literally. Right? Is he treated righteous or is he ostracized and kicked to the curb? Well, I can tell you this, man. There will be no gang members doing that type of shit on a 4-yard or even a 3-yard in the California Department of Corrections. I don't know how it is in other states and other prison systems, but I know in California, man, it's not condoned. It's not, it's frowned upon. We'll just say that, right? You're not going to go in there as a super hardcore gang member and decide somewhere in the meantime, between October and November, that you no longer want to identify as a man. And now, you want to suck chorra. That just ain't going to happen. Okay? Has it happened? Yes, it has. There has been guys that have an epiphany, right? An awakening and decide that for whatever reason, man, that they like what lipstick tastes like, only they don't like it on women. They want to be a woman. And then they start that transition. Now, these type of individuals that choose to do this, that actually go gay while in prison and decide that that's what the route they want to take, they're usually transferred to different types of facilities. See, if you're transitioning from a man to a woman in prison, they have certain facilities where they provide hormones and things of that nature. There's pills and medications that they take to facilitate that. Now, I always wondered why in prison, when it's so hard to get your fucking glasses and it takes forever to get your teeth looked at, they ain't trying to pull no molars or none of that. You got shit all fucked up. But if you tell them, hey, I identify as a woman, I'm ready to go, they'll take you immediately and ship your ass to Backerville, right? They'll ship you out quick. Now, does that mean that you're still part of that gang or part of that group or organization? Well, I can tell you this, first and foremost, absolutely not. You're no longer looked at as a homie, not even a homegirl, right? You're no longer embraced like that. You can't be within the household. You can't function anymore. Because there's always been a thing in prison. Now, albeit there's a lot of gay activities that happen in prison. It just is what it is. Whatever goes on in your cell, I guess is going to stay in your cell. But there's a lot of grown men, man, that for whatever reason, they're not woke, right? They wake up, but they're not really woke up, right? So they're never going to condone the shit. They're never going to be like, hey, Holmes, oh, no, it's good, bro. Oh, yeah, you like sucking chorra? Cool. Sell up with me, right? They're not going to do that. Now, there are those dudes that are undercover, flying under the radar, that really like that shit, Holmes, that are really Diddy-ish, and they believe they can fly like R. Kelly. They want to be on that tip, but they're never going to say it. Has it happened before? Have super hardcore gang members decided to go that route? Yes, absolutely. And like I said, man, they're not involved in the reindeer games anymore. They're no longer able to function on them yards, so they're shipped out immediately. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about one guy who just had a little too much fucking Kool-Aid in his tank. A little too much azúcar, right? Hey, sugar, how you get so, right? This vato just decided he was going to go that route. And again, it's in different states, and I'm going to tell you a story about that as well. So in California, I remember we were in Tracy, J-Wing, and there was a homie that got there. And he was an active homeboy. He was a functioning norteño. He was cleared. He went through the clearance process to be embraced within the household, meaning to be put on the roster so that he's a well-known homeboy, and that way he could, be told undisclosed stuff that shouldn't be told to just anybody. See, there's different levels of homies. Let's just get that right out the way, whether it's north, south, Wood Brothers with coffee, or blacks. Some are within the fold and they're functioning politically. They're with all that smoke. You know, they want to strive to be something bigger than what they are within the fold, right? And then there are those that are just regular Northerners or regular Southsiders that just are there for the stay. They're just doing their time. You know, they'll get with the program. If something cracks off with their people, they're most definitely going to participate, but they're not obligated. They don't obligate themselves. And those are actually the smart guys. The ones that don't obligate themselves to the politics, man. You know, you're always going to be subject to the politics and what's going on in prison. You're always going to be part of that if you're in the fold. But there are those that maybe they don't have to raise their hand, or maybe they're not called upon to assist the household. It's highly recommended that you do, because you're going to be looked at some certain type of way, and everybody is striving for respect. But as long as you're a man of your word and you don't involve yourself in frivolous bullshit, then most of the time you can just do your time. Hey, and there'll be times and instances where nothing's cracking off. You get to a facility, you get to a prison, that yard's popping, man. Hey, there's a gang of dope on the yard. There's a gang of good homies on the yard, and you just slide right in and everything's cool. But every once in a while, it does crack off, man. Something does happen and shit could change just like that. That's prison. That's prison for you, man. People say, oh, it's the same thing every day. Well, not necessarily. Today can be good. Tomorrow can be all bad. And it just depends on how the fucking yard is that day or what happens. And usually it kind of depends on who gets there. You know, most times a lot of the conflict is going to be over the dope game. It's going to be over gambling. It's going to be over someone not being able to pay their debt. It's going to be over some high power motherfucker that comes in and wants to change up the program. And guys that are there usually don't want to go with that flow. And then there are some that will. And Shoe Kick Out gets there. He wants to switch up the program because he's told to switch up the program. And people want to go against the grain. And that's where there's a lot of inner turmoil within your group. Or someone disrespects from the other side or from a different group. And then it's on and cracking, you know. Especially now with the California Department of Corrections, you know, integrating people, bringing SNYs and general population, GP together, trying to integrate the Bulldogs and trying to integrate, you know, whatever they're trying to do. It's all bad. It's a bad look. Okay. So anyways, there was a homie there on J-Wing, and he decided for whatever reason that he no longer wanted to function as a homeboy. He wanted to be a homegirl. And I remember when I got the Wheeler and I looked at it, at this time I was a building channel, which means I was in the political games. I was playing that, right? I was striving on the streets as well as within the prison system to be more than just a Northerner, right? And I remember I was like, whopping, this ain't gonna work. This ain't how you do it. You can't just come in here and say, hey, look, I seen my celly taking a piss, and the way the fucking moonlight gleamed off his shoulder, I just decided right then and there that I wanted to be Caitlyn Jenner. It doesn't work like that, right? But I guess in this guy's eyes it did, or this woman's eyes, whatever. And he was removed. He was removed, and that was the reasoning behind it. You know, there was no way that us as a fucking entity, as a group, could hold our chests up high if we were going to allow this guy to function. Now, he wasn't no punk. He wasn't no sucker, man. He'll still throw hands with you. He'll still do all that. But at the end of the day, there's something about chorra in your mouth that just don't fit. It just don't mix with the group and what we got going on. Now, back in the days, 60s, 70s, in the prison system, there were prison punks running around. What do you call a prison punk? Someone who identifies as not necessarily all man, right? They're gay or whatever. And again, I have nothing against gay people. To each their own. Do what you got to do, man. I see all people for what they're worth, man. Hey, if you're a good person, if you're solid, if you have good charges, you treat everybody with respect. Hey, if you fucking suck chorra, that's on you. You know, tell me there ain't a torta that doesn't. But you have to understand that you are not a torta. Just because you dress like one and act like one doesn't mean you are one. You know, that's like a person trying to act out of their ethnicity. You could hang around with brothers, man. You could be a white dude with cornrows. You could be all that, but you'll never be black. Just like a Mexican can never be black and a black can never be Mexican. It doesn't matter. You are what you are, homes. And you're embraced with your people as long as you're solid. You know, those that are worthy of the cause shall be embraced. Now, the guys that go gay, they want to be embraced a different way. And there's a lot of people that don't condone that. So anyways, this guy was whacked. He was removed off the yard. He was cut up. And it was for no other reason than, like I said, then he decided that he wanted to transition. They moved him to a medical facility. And that's where they move a lot of these guys that are transitioning. There's a lot more in the system now. See, back in the days, there wasn't so many in the system, but now they have their own units, their own facilities, their own buildings, because it seems like a lot of guys are going that route. You know, it's just the world we live in now. People are changing. It's It's becoming more normalized. You know, it's normal, I guess. But when you're in a prison in California where it's, you know, hardcore rules, where it's the kill or be killed, survival of the fittest, you have to carry yourself to a certain standard with professionalism and act a certain way. And if you're on that gangster shit, you got to really be on that gangster shit. And for some reason, the gangster shit and the Caitlyn Jenner shit just doesn't seem to mix. Now, I was in a different state, man. And there was one guy, and trip out on this. It's a trip because I actually ran into the dude when I had gotten out, right? And he was a guy again. But this guy, he was weird because sometimes you would run into him. He'd be in the building. We shared the same building. And he'd be on man time. Looked like a regular guy. Had major hands, right? Was a Golden Glove boxer, was known to knock people out and do some bad things to them, right? But at the same time, I had never seen anything prior to this point. He was just a regular cat, man, that no one really fucked with on the yard. I mean, he fraternized with a little bit of everyone. He was a Native American, or so he said, so that kind of was his program. He had his long hair going on and whatever, right? And then one day, he was someone different. One day, he was Michelle. One day he came out on that tier and he had eyeliner on and his hair was a Valvu, what was it? Silky smooth, right? Viva Valvu Sassoon or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Vidal Sassoon. That's how his shit was. Only his name was Fidel Sassoon, right? And so I was like, what? And I told the homies, damn, what the fuck is that, bro? Because you got to understand at them times, it wasn't like it is now. We were shocked. Like, what? Right? And this guy just decided that if for no other reason, his other personality was going to come out. He was Michelle in the evenings and fucking Byron in the days, you know, or Fidel in the day. Whatever. Again, he got into whatever little shenanigans he got into. And there was a lot of people, and I ain't going to lie, that were scared to approach him because he had major hands and he would do something to you. Now, he never disrespected anyone, never came on to anyone, never fucking tried to push his agenda onto anyone's plate. But just being around that, you didn't want to be around that. And that's how it is in the California system. People don't want to be around that. Now, that guy was notoriously known for snatching up young Wood brothers, right? Dragging them into the cell and making them drink his coffee. But again, the way it was played out in that state, if it wasn't your business, you pay attention. You don't pay no attention to what's going on behind them curtains. Literally, right? You can smell it, but don't pay attention to it. And that was that. So, you know, are guys allowed to be still within the group and gang banging and super gangsters and all that if they transition? Fuck no. It just ain't gonna happen. Now, times are changing. Things are changing. I'm seeing things now in the prison system in California that I never thought I'd see before, like end of hostilities, people being integrated, groups, you know, functioning with other groups that I didn't think they would function. But I don't think this will ever be a part of the system that people are gonna allow to, you know, take plant a flag and you know, they'll lay the demo down. I don't think it's going to happen just because men's facilities rock a certain way. You know, I know back in the days, like I said, there were prison punks and they were allowed to have fucking old ladies, whatever they did. Times changed and the 80s and 90s dictated chale, homes. That shit's off the board now. Now, there are a lot of fucking gay things that going on in prison behind the scenes. There are a lot of people that participate in them type of functions. And that's on them. To each man his own. Now, if you're found out to be a chicken hawk or you're found out to be fucking doing that to guys, raping them and whatever, homes, you're going to be held accountable. You're probably going to be stabbed and thrown off the yard. And not necessarily by your own people. If there's a chicken hawk on the yard, if there's a booty bandit and someone that's actually going on them yards fucking hurting people and abusing people, man, you're considered like you have a bad case, a sex crime. That's a sex crime, whether it's in or out of prison. You don't need to be convicted or have paperwork, man. If they know that you're doing that in that facility, you're probably going to get whacked by everybody. Okay, there's a couple common things people don't like. They don't like a fucking booty bandit or a thief in prison. No one likes a jailhouse thief and no one likes a booty bandit. If you're fucking posing a threat to people, you're bullying people, you're harming people. If your own gente, your own race doesn't deal with it, well, other people will step up to the plate and definitely deal with you. And if there's a problem to be had because, say you're a black dude or a white dude or a Mexican dude, and your own people are approached and said, hey, Holmes, your homeboy's fucking doing wild shit. It's up to you guys to take care of it. And if they don't, then everybody gets taken care of. That's how it is. Okay, that's how it is in the California system. So anyways, I seen a video the other day and it tripped me out. So I don't know if you guys have watched the old Compton video, Barrio Compton Tortilla Flats. Respects, homes, to the audio out there. My primos fucking know some solid dudes from, hey, can I talk to you? Get over here. That primo. He knows some solid homeboys from Tortilla Flats. And I seen, everyone's seen them old videos, them, what were they? The fucking, the Fox Undercover videos with Chucky and Midget and his brother Woody and these young kids. And I did a reaction to the video. I've talked about, what ended up happening to Chucky. Ultimately, he passed. And then Midget, what he went through, as well as his brother, Chucky. And there was a lot of individuals that got characterized or in that video, people knew him through that video. And one of the guys, man, was actually older than Chucky. And in one instance, he talked about Chucky and about how Chucky came around and he embraced Chucky and he was a father figure to Chucky, even though he was just a few years older and whatever the case, he was solid, Blue Pendleton, Lokeson, look, just playing that part. Well, somewhere along the line, his career took a wild turn, right? Wet and Wild rapid rides, right? And he ended up becoming a fucking informant and telling on his gang and his group and found himself, I guess, in the SNY yards or functioning at a different level. And now he is actually locked up in prison and, identifies as a woman. He has went through the whole transgender change, and that's him on the thumbnail. That's the guy from fucking the Fox Undercover show. And it just tripped me out that dudes do that. I don't know what goes through people's minds. Again, man, I can't knock them. I don't know. I'm not here to fucking shit on their parade. Literally, I don't want to shit nowhere around them. But I'll say this. It happens. That's a perfect example. And I think more so he went that route because he felt like because he was a rat and because of his gang turned their back on him. And justifiably so, man. He testified against him. He was no longer in good standings. Somewhere along the line, he decided to just change his whole life around and become a woman. That's what he did. Now, guys like that, man, they're looked upon, in a bad light. Especially guys that do it for the wrong reasons. If you are that, then you are that. That's on you. We got like people like Ryan Garcia. He's about to fight tonight. And, he's doing his press conference and he's really trolling or whatever he's doing. But he says he now identifies as a woman. So that way, if he loses, that's Devin Haney beating up on women. I mean, I don't condone none of that shit. And I love Ryan. I hope he wins. But at the same time, some of that shit can be rather left unsaid. You don't play with things like that. People take that shit serious. People are losing their jobs. And in this world we live in, people are going crazy over that. It becomes hate crimes and all kinds of shit. But anyways, back to the question about gang members allowed to be gay. Now, I had a homeboy on the streets, a few homeboys. They had a brother. And their brother has always been a chirujo, right? Which is considered a man that's trying to be a woman or whatever, a gay person, right? And that motherfucker had hands. That motherfucker was known to put fingertips on you, right? And he was down. And we would see him and some people would cringe like, oh, fuck, bro, not this Vato. But there were those of us that knew his family, knew his brothers, knew what time it was with them. We'd just be like, hey, if you want that smoke, he'll give you that smoke or she'll give you that smoke or it will give you that smoke. Whatever you want to say it is, man, go handle your business, right? And there was homeboys like, no, it ain't that serious. I know it ain't that serious because motherfucker, the last thing on earth you want as a grown man, especially in prison or even in the street gang, is to get beat up by a chirujo. Imagine how that looks. I fucking choked out by a chirujo. Hey, you stick his pipe on you too? No, Sasuke, there was a moment in time when he grabbed my shoulder, right? Nah, I don't know, Holmes. That's your story. I'll let you tell it. But as far as answering the question, can a person transition into a woman and be gay and still be a gang member? No. Okay, they can't. When they're found out, people are going to trip. Now, it doesn't mean, like I said, they're punks or they're scary or anything like that. Doesn't mean they're less of a man. They just want to be less of a man. If you understand where I'm coming from. Anyways, man, it is what it is. Again, it's a touchy subject and a subject I don't like to touch. But it is what it is. I'll answer it. You ask a question, I'll answer. So with that being said, I hope that you guys move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive to struggle, the struggle to strive. I wish I could elaborate more, but this is a topic I really can't. And I really choose not to. It just is what it is. Now, look, we got season 2 coming up. Super Norteño. Super Sureño is back, right? And I'm telling you guys right now, it's about to get popping on Monday. Be on the lookout for it. It's going to be a longer version of a crazy version. So have your fucking headphones ready, your seatbelt tapped in, your fucking coffee, brother, because we're really going to get down with it. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. Go Team Ryan. Hashtag Team Ryan. You know what it is, man. Ryan Garcia. Let's get it tonight. Bang, bang. The gun.